Looking out my window, sun shining bright.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Your boy got a new setup. You feel me? You feel me? We getting shit going, you know what I'm saying? But welcome back to the channel. Hey, if you here, get it out the way. If you here, go ahead and subscribe. You obviously here because you enjoy basketball. That's what this channel is about. At least this portion of the channel. Obviously we do our game and shit, but this portion of the channel, it's basketball. Eventually down the road I'll make a new channel, maybe. But yeah, man, we just covering what are the X factors for each team in this upcoming season. I know my hair look a little crazy. I just took the dewy off. But yeah, covering what player for each team will be the X factor for them moving forward in this season. We're just gonna kick it off with the Eastern Conference today, and we'll come back later and finish off with the Western Conference. But of course, first team, Philadelphia 76ers. It has to be James Harden. Honestly, I got three players. James Harden, I just said, for one scenario, and then these other two players for a different scenario. It has to be James Harden if Daryl Morey doesn't decide to trade him at the beginning of the season. We've seen an unmotivated James Harden on an NBA floor before. It does not look good whatsoever, bro. And for a team that's just coming off of having the MVP of the season, you really don't want that to start off this season. Bad morale in the locker room. We've seen that with the 76ers already with Ben Simmons. We don't really need another episode like that in Philly where they were just seemingly, progressing very well through the process, so to speak. But yeah, if he's not moved before October 26th, which is Philly's first game, this could be a hell of a season for the 76ers, bro, honestly. But that's one scenario. Seeing if that Harden is moved, then we're talking about guys like Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris. Maxey is coming off of a 20 point per game season, 3.5 assists, 3 rebounds a game on nearly 50% from the field, on 43% from behind the arc, and 84% from the line. Every year he's been improving and adding to his game. And heading into year 4 of his young career, I'm expecting to see an even bigger jump from Tyrese Maxey, an even greater improvement in places that he needs work in, like his defense. He could become a more consistent 3-point shooter, which would be crazy considering the fact that he's shooting 43%. Dude is already at the top of the top when it comes to the best shooters in the league. If he could get that more consistently, his mid-range, his finishing at the rim is sometimes sloppy. If he can get that under control, we can expect to see Tyrese Maxey in all-star conversations. My light went off. But yeah, we could start to see Tyrese Maxey, barring that Philly is a top seed in this, once all-star voting is happening, we could see Tyrese Maxey in that conversation. Granted, he has the season that I'm expecting him to have. And then secondly, we got to go with Tobias Harris. Coming off of his lowest scoring season since the 2015-2016 season, which was his last year in Orlando. The Sixers are going to need a lot from him, especially if Harden is gone. They're really going to need him to step up and be that legit third option behind Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I know it may sound odd seeing how he really just had a very decent, efficient season shooting the ball, but this team needs something or someone, like I said, to have a big season with Harden being gone, if that does so happen at some point throughout the beginning of the season. When I say beginning of the season, I mean before New Year's. You know what I'm saying? That's when you really get to kick in to that second gear of the season, get ready for the playoff push and really get serious. You see who's serious about competing. But continuing with what Tobias Harris needs to bring, based off of how him and his dad was talking earlier this summer, he's more than just a spot-up shooter, a catch-and-shoot guy. We need to see the production on the floor for us to believe all that talk. Obviously, we know Tobias Harris can be a number one option, so to speak. He's done it on teams, but that's because he was the best player on that team. that's a lot. That's saying a lot. If Tobias Harris is your best player on the team, so he had no choice in LA to be the number one option. He had no choice in Orlando but to be the number one option next to Vucevic or Aaron Gordon. I think he was like the second option on that team. But with all that being said, Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris are the X factors for Philly moving forward in this season. Milwaukee, I have a couple guys as well. And this is just due to, dude being old, getting old. Brook Lopez, his defensive ability, can he withhold what he brought last year, being a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year? Can he bring that same level of intensity, that same focus to the defensive end of the floor for the Bucks this year? That was a huge part of why the Bucks were so successful this last season. Although they were missing Chris Middleton, the defense of Brook Lopez was that damn good to where they were the 1 seed. They were the best team in the East, as well as them having an all-star in Drew Holiday. But Chris Middleton as well. His health, he only played 33 games last year due to the sprained MCL that he suffered in the 2022 postseason against the Bulls. He only played in 33 games. But despite all that, the Bucks were still great, or relatively good. Obviously, like I said, they were the number 1 team in the East, but they were battling with the Celtics. And then I think the Nuggets were the overall best team in the NBA. But when you add a guy, let me put it to you this way. If they have a similar season that they had last year, and then you add Chris Middleton's production, there's no reason that this isn't a 60-plus win team going into the next season. They could have really used that scoring throughout the season at times, especially the perimeter defense as well. And you really saw that in that first round against the Miami Heat. Although Giannis was out a couple games in that series, just Chris Middleton being more acclimated into that specific team last year, I feel could have really helped them. Chris Middleton could go off for 30 any night. He has a thing about him, around him, like a wannabe, or he chooses when he wants to be a superstar, is what they say. So hopefully he chooses to be a superstar for this next season, and he will be the X factor for the Milwaukee Bucks. Chicago Bulls, Patrick Williams, man, in the midst of everything going seemingly wrong in Chicago, when we talk about Lonzo's knee, the front office not knowing how to put together a competent playoff competing team, he kind of got lost in the shuffle just a little bit. Just 17 games played in his sophomore season, which was the season before last due to an injury. A full 82 last season. He didn't really improve much from his sophomore season or his rookie season. His stats are damn near identical all 3 seasons. So with Lonzo being out the entire season, we know that he's not coming back this year. Patrick Beverley is gone. DeMar DeRozan, it's up in the air if he'll get traded or not. Vucevic, they bought him back. Zach LaVine, I don't think he's going anywhere. And if he does, then they're bringing in another guy that can produce what Zach LaVine did, if not better. So Patrick Williams needs to take a step. We know what he can bring on the defensive end, but his offense, like I said, he hasn't improved. Dude ain't averaged over 10 points a game in his 3-year career. Like I said, he had an injury his second year. Will, sweep that season under the rug, but he did not improve. But that's just looking at stats. The eye test, when you look and watch the Chicago Bulls and Patrick Williams play, his confidence has tremendously improved. The shots that he takes, the confidence that he has improved the confidence of the shots that he takes. You could tell he's been in the gym with DeMar, the mid-range, the fades, bro. Like, you could tell that dude's actually putting in the work to get better. It's just not happening on the court statistically. So moving into this next season, Patrick Williams, I feel, could take that next jump. We're talking 15, 16 points per game, getting into that most improved player conversation. I don't know, dude, like, he has the potential. We just have to see it, his game get rounded out on that offensive end. But if that can happen, which I'm predicting can and will happen this year, Patrick Williams will be the X factor for the Chicago Bulls. Now, Boston was a little tricky. You could have gone a lot of ways with this. With the absence of Marcus Smart now, Derek White has to step up with his playmaking. Jaylen Brown has to somehow get his left hand together to know how to dribble a basketball. Al Horford's getting older, but ultimately you have to go with the biggest X factor, and that is Kristaps Porzingis' health. Dude has played in 8. He's played for 8 years. He's going into his 9th. I'm sorry, I just blanked. He's going into his 9th season. Out of those 8 years, half of those, he has yet to play over 50 games. That has to be the biggest X factor, excuse me. His rookie season was the year that he played the most games, 72 games. And aside from that, he has yet to eclipse 66 games. His health is the biggest X factor for the Boston Celtics, especially considering what they gave up to get him. I don't remember everything that was in that package, but Marcus Smart was the biggest and most important piece, as well as some first-round picks. They're going to be back into the draft picks. Obviously, draft picks are, you're going to want draft picks regardless. But with all that being said, if he can have the year that he had last year, dude was hooping, bro. He had some all-star hype. He's coming off of 23, 8, and 1.5 blocks with solid-ass shooting splits, bro. Boston is going to need that, especially, like I just said, with Al Horford getting older. We don't know how durable he's going to be with this next season. Also, Robert Williams struggles at times to stay on the floor, whether it be foul trouble or he's just being injured. They're going to need somebody of those three to step up, and the most important, or the best of the three, the best player of all those three is Kristaps, and he needs to figure out a way to be able to be healthy and stay on that court for them. That will be the X factor for Boston this year. Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't really know what to put for this one, bro, so I just said figure out the damn small forward position, bro. You got a boatload of people over there, man. Karis LeVert can play the 3. Max Strus might get some burn at the 3. They no longer have Cedi Osman, but they replace him with Georges Niang. Danny Green is on the team, as well as Isaac Okoro is still over there on the team. None of these players are taller than 6'7", bro, so they're not playing burn at the 4. Especially when you got Emo, you're not getting that much burn at the 4. If you can, maybe Georges Niang might get a little bit, but they need to figure out that 3 position badly. For the Atlanta Hawks, I went with Bogdan Bogdanovic. This was another one that was just kind of hard to decide, especially with all the turnover that they've had in the past, 3-4 months with the new front office, coaching staff change. At the back end of the last season, they got John Collins out of there. They brought in some other guys. So I went with Bogdan. His 3 seasons that he's been with Atlanta, going into his 4th, he's yet to play more than 64 games. His shooting is too valuable to that team for him to be missing so much time. So that's what I decided to go with for the X factor. Maybe it's Trae Young blocking out the noise. I don't know. But for me, the X factor for Atlanta is Bogdan Bogdanovic. The Miami Heat. The backcourt is really going to have to step it up. And when I say that, I mean guys like Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, although he's a rookie, I feel they're going to expect a lot from him, seeing how they're missing guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. That may be minuscule losses to other teams, but for this roster and what they brought to the team, that is a huge blow, and they're going to need guys like Kyle Lowry, a veteran, to step up his game when he had a terrible regular season. Tyler Hero, his hand, hopefully it healed properly, things of that nature. He have a more consistent season than he did last year as well. And then, like I said, Jaime Jaquez, hopefully his rookie season goes pretty well for the Miami Heat. He can ball. Dude can hoop. I ain't gonna cap. Dude can hoop. And I'm excited to see what the Heat culture can bring out of him, bro. They're just gonna need that, bro, because we know what Bam's gonna bring. We know what Jimmy's gonna bring. We know what the front court is capable of. But the back court, that's still up in the air, so we're going to need them to step it up and, really bring that intensity throughout the game for Jimmy Butler, for Bam Adebayo. So the backcourt is my answer for the Miami Heat's X Factor. Charlotte Hornets, man. These past few have been ones that I just couldn't really pinpoint a specific person. This is another one. They're a really young team, bro. Outside of Gordon Hayward, the oldest player is Terry Rozier at 29 years old. So they don't, there's not really much of an X factor that I can pinpoint. I guess you could say Brandon Miller, but dude's a rookie. What can he really be an X factor of? I guess you could say LaMelo being an X factor, seeing how he missed so much time the past couple seasons. But they really just need time as a core, like stability as a core. They missed Miles Bridges due to suspension last season. Melo dealing with the injury the past couple years, like I just said. PJ Washington battling with Brittany Renner on social media. Like, it's just, they need a season full of meshing with no BS. New York Knicks. Emmanuel Quickley, man. It's Emmanuel quickly. We need him to continue to be, it's not my team. They need him to continue to be a spark plug off the bench for them. He's averaging just under 15 points per game, 3.5 assists, 4 rebounds on 37% from deep. If he can improve his streaky shooting and add about 3 to 5 more points per game, we're talking about a serious 6 Man of the Year campaign run for him, bro. And possibly getting a bigger bag down the line. Like, dude has the skill set. He reminds me of Bones Highland. He's everything Bones Highland tries to be, and this is no knock on Bones. I fuck with Bones, like, outside of basketball. He reminds me of everything Bones Highland tries to be, but he's much more mature in the when you talk about being a ball player and decision making. He's much more mature in that aspect. The shot selection is much better than Bones Highland as well. Yeah, man, Emmanuel quickly for the New York Knicks. Brooklyn Nets, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is their X factor. Don't need to say nothing more, nothing less. Ben Simmons is the X factor for the Brooklyn Nets. Pacers got Bruce Brown and Obi Toppin, 2 new additions that they added over this summer. We know what Bruce Brown is capable of, and Obi Toppin, we've seen flashes of who he can be, but buried on that bench with the Knicks, he just didn't really have a chance. But on paper, this looks like a very, very competent playoff-esque team. They have the tools, they have the makeup of a playoff team. We've seen Bruce Brown be a game-changing piece in 3 different organizations now, and coming off a championship, I think he's going to ride that high and really provide something for the Pacers that they just didn't have last year, and that's defense off the bench, scoring off the bench, ball movement off the bench. They needed all of that. Rebounding off the bench. They needed something off of the bench that just really completed the team. Bruce Brown, maybe he starts, who knows? But then that'll move Benedict Mathurin to the bench permanently. Well, not permanently, but for this season, and he could be that guy for you. And then Obi Toppin, what the fuck? Obi Toppin, just being in a new situation, man. He should have a nice role in this team that makes you excited about what he can bring to this organization. Like I said, we've seen flashes of who he can be, just not completely. He doesn't have very, very stable playing time over there in New York. So now in Indiana, with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton at the helm, goddamn, it's been so long since I made a video. You know, we can see those lobs in the fast break. You got Jarris Walker as well. Like, bro, this is going to be an exciting team, bro. And those are my X factors for those guys. Bruce Brown, like I said, we know what he's capable of coming off that championship. Just got that bag, you know what I'm saying? So he feeling good. I could see that being a very, very good team. And Detroit Pistons is another very, very young team, but the X factor has to be the front court. They have Jalen Duran, James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley, and Isaiah Stewart. That's quite a rotation of players. All of them kind of have different skill sets, but, you know, play the same position. But they're all younger than 25, so this will be a work in progress. But their defensive consistency, their health, offensively, what can they bring to the table? Rebounding, like things of that nature that a big man is supposed to be able to produce. Can they do that at a consistent level, being such a young team? In my opinion, though, it's gonna be a pretty smooth process. You got Cade at the helm. We know what he's capable of, especially with Team USA, what he's doing. He's looking really, really, really good. And then Monty Williams, the defensive mindset that he is, those guys should be fine. And just a few more teams left to go. We got the Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs, bro. Jalen Suggs is the X factor, or going to have to be the X factor for the Orlando Magic. Everybody's ready for Franz Wagner. Everybody's ready for Paolo. Everybody's ready for Markelle. Anthony Black is even getting some hype. But nobody knows what is going to happen with Jalen Suggs this season. It's a very, very guard-heavy team. He's the second to youngest of that bunch. He could get lost in the mix this season, bro, based off his production or lack thereof of the past couple seasons. Yeah, like I said, he's the second youngest of the guard core, but he is, albeit just his 3rd season that he's going into. We know what guys like Markelle and Cole Anthony, like, we have an idea of the kind of players that they could be. But Jalen Suggs hasn't really shown anything consistent. He hasn't really shown anything consistent. It's just like, flashes. For a guy that was so highly touted coming out of college, you thought he would have progressed a little bit faster. That's all I'm just trying to say. But he's going to have to prove himself even now more than ever, because he has to compete with Anthony Black, who has this much hype coming out of college just as much as he did, if not more. So I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot that he has to, sit and think about and really try to give himself that extra motivation to be great for this Orlando Magic team, or who knows, we could be seeing Jalen Suggs getting moved at the deadline. We'll see. Toronto Raptors, Scottie Barnes, 4th overall pick a few seasons ago. The team is essentially in rebuild mode, and he's the guy that they're going to be rebuilding around. He needs to take that step offensively, that jump offensively, to really make that look like it's something that makes sense. His game should raise the all-star consideration this year. Just 22 years old, though, entering his 3rd season. He needs to develop a long-range jump shot. Dude is shooting 29% for his career. He shot 30% his rookie season, 29% last year. Not good whatsoever. He doesn't have a consistent jumper, but maybe over this summer he put in that work and we could see an improvement in the right direction. Maybe it don't have to be a 10% jump. He don't have to go up to 30, from 30 to 40. But if we can get at least 34% from Scottie Barnes this year, a consistent mid-range shot, bro, I don't know. 3 to 5 more points a game, bro, then we really could talk about him being a guy that you can build a franchise around. But until then, until we can see his offense progress in the way that his defense was looking very early on, I don't know. It's like I said, similar to the Patrick Williams situation, where we know what he can bring on the defensive end, but until his offense just pulls all that together and rounds him out as a player, it'll always be a what if. And last but not least, we have the Washington Wizards. I went with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. Those are the obvious answers to this question, I believe. Those two have a lot to prove this year, believe it or not. Jordan Poole coming out of the Golden State Warriors, who is an organization that has a system. And I say that very loosely. They have a system. Ball movement, shot, backdoor cut. Like, they have a system in play to where players look great when they go over there. And it's rumored that, he only looks so good because he was in a Golden State system. Now he can prove everybody wrong and really show what he can do. Like I said in the past video, this is going to be his opportunity to really go out there and make something shake for himself. Can he be a franchise player? Can he be a #1 option? We don't know that yet, because he was playing alongside Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins. So we don't really know that yet. But with this Washington Wizards team, yeah, they kind of have a core, so to speak, of young guys. But Jordan Poole is obviously the best player of them, being a championship winner. You also have Kyle Kuzma, who also has something to prove this year. There's a lot of talk that he don't deserve the bag that he got. Well, now he can prove us wrong. The production that he just had coming off the season that he just had last year, 21 points per game, 8 rebounds. Although his shooting was pretty bad, Kyle Kuzma is a hooper, bro. And now being a second option as opposed to a third one behind Bradley Beal and Porzingis, maybe we get a most improved or an all-star jump from Kyle Kuzma this year, man. Let's not forget, dude was averaging, I think, 15 points per game as a rookie on the Lakers. LeBron came over there. Well, the next season he averaged 18. Anthony Davis gets there, that's out the door. He's at like 13, 14 points per game. His shooting dropped. Not his shooting splits, I think those went up, but his attempts dropped. He's not on the team with Anthony Davis and LeBron no more. It's him and Jordan Poole. Obviously, there's other guys over there that can hoop, but those are the names of that team. Those are the two guys that I have as the X factor, because shit, it's the Washington Wizards. They just blew it up, basically. Bradley Beal, who was there his entire career, gone. Kristaps Porzingis, who they brought in to help Bradley Beal, gone. So those are my X factors for the Eastern Conference. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, we're gonna get the Western Conference knocked out sooner than later. New setup, you feel me? Be sure to tune in to the streams. We stream over on Twitch. I'm gonna bring them over to YouTube sooner or later. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like the video, subscribe, drop comments, and I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. I'm out of here. Peace.